This is Gus with Anora, and you're watching the Chat with Chaps live show.
Good evening and welcome to the Chat with Chaps Midweek live show. I'm your host, Joe Zampa, and we go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. So for those of you who are new to the show, just make sure you stick that in your calendar and stick it as a reminder. And welcome to the Chat with Chaps family. Guys, before I introduce our panelists, actually I'm going to upgrade them. I'm going to call them co-hosts tonight. They deserve it. Make sure you please like and subscribe to this show. So a little birdie told me we're up to 1,998 subscribers. We need 2 more to hit the 2,000 mark, and that will do wonders for us in regards to leverage into engagement, to get YouTube doing all sorts of things for us and getting more money, I guess, into the channel to help support the charity for Cancer Research UK. So please, if you're watching this live or you watch it on a recording, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. And if you want to, you can click on the bell and you get alert for any announcements and notifications. Of course, will come up and let you know. So first up is a guy who's groovy. He's probably still got glitter in his hair from Saturday's 70s disco he attended. It's the one and only Disco Steve. How are you doing, mate?
Evening, Joe. Evening, Jesper, and evening to the listeners. I've been waiting an hour to get on, Joe, so if you can get it moving a bit, you know, it's...
Can you believe that, Jesper? Can you believe that, Jesper?
Oh,
listeners, to the Chat with Chaps family, he literally logged on with like 5 seconds before he went live in true disco form, you know.
I
must
do
have tripped over on his platforms or something, yeah. No worries. Good, exactly. Good for you to join us, mate. And finally, our Danish voice of reason, or at least that's what he leads us to believe. He's been keeping tabs on Mill all the way from Denmark. It's the one and only Jesper Densgaard. How you doing, Jesper?
I'm good. Thank you, Joe. I am currently on a 3-month paternity leave, so I got tons of time to check the news feed every day, and I have to say it's been one boring week regarding Millwall news. But here we are. Always good. Always happy to be back on and discuss the upcoming things and transfer gossip.
3 months.
3 months paternity
3 months paternity leave. Oh my God! Just I tell you what, over here we get 2 weeks. And that's it. It's like, get back to work, you know?
I lived there, and then I left. That was the reason.
That's the reason why you went back home again, did you?
Yeah. No, only joking. Only
full
joking.
Pay, Jesper? Is it full pay or it's like subsidised? Like
no. It depends on the company. Certain companies you can get 80% of your annual salary subsidised, and you can get actually paid for 3 months. Yeah, so it's pretty decent.
I bet they're knocking them out, aren't they, in Denmark? Just get extra 3 months holiday every year. The amount of babies that produce, it must be ridiculous, isn't it?
You would think so. That's not the case, actually. But we can talk about that another day. I'll be over in a month. So we can discuss that.
Let's create a new podcast show for that, for babies and daddies, yeah? But, guys, lots to discuss on tonight's show, as always. But, again, this show would be nothing if it wasn't for our lovely listeners and our Chat with Chaps family. So I'm going to bring them up into the show now. So first of all, through the door is Cole Bracey. How you doing, Cole? Hope you're well. Andrew Cahill, good to see you, mate. Jeff Chandler, hope you're well, mate. Good to see you as always. Chris Brown, good to see you again, mate. Hope you're well. Alex, good to see you. Oh, my God. John. Fantastic, mate. A £10 donation from John. Mate, that's so generous of you. I know you do it most weeks for us, mate. That's so kind. Even Chaps, Funshaw Madeira. And on the way out. So we'll watch tomorrow on Catch Up. Look forward to seeing it. John, hope you're having a lovely time, mate. Enjoy your evening. Hope you have a great time out there, mate. It's in Portugal, I think, isn't it, from memory? And obviously we'll watch you back on the recording show tomorrow. And again, anyone else watching this on the recording, welcome to the Chat with Chaps live show. John, thank you, mate. Very generous as always. Tommy, good to see you. Evening. Jeff Cook, evening, Lions. Craig, how are you, mate? Either chaps, has Richard Cowley blocked Joe yet after asking 1,000 times if Sturge has signed? He hasn't yet, Craig. I'm sure he will do eventually, but I will mention that a little bit later on. Hope you're well, Craig. Matt Richards, evening. How are you, mate? Hope you're good. Hughesy, good to see you. Don't do me, Maya. Oh, please. We'll touch on that on the first subject tonight. Billy Smith, good evening. How are you, mate? Leslie Goddard, good evening. Hello, Connor. Hope you're well. Hi, Gary. First live show for me. Oh, is it? Welcome to the Chat with Chaps family, mate. Good to have you on board. Hope you enjoy it.
Always
Andrew,
welcome virgins on, don't we, Joe?
100%. Yeah, welcome, Gary. Good to be here. Ben DeViva, good to see you, mate. Good that you joined us. Stephen Haynes, how are you? David Rouse, if we have to sell the BFS, then it must be for the money over 20 million. Again, we will touch on that a little bit later. David, good to see you, mate. Good evening, Dave Turner. Bailey, evening. Mark Murphy, good to see you, mate. Born free, die free, oi oi. War Lion, Mark Murphy. Dan Clements, good to see you, Dan. Billy, my wife's clicked on your bell, Joe. Oh, my God. Des, good to see you, mate. Ahoy. Most guys would need 3 months to get over their conception. I know. Let's just swap it over. We should get 6 months off and send the mums back to work. They're much tougher than we are, aren't they? Connor, congratulations, Jesper. Remembered to show the baby Joes missed when they are born. Well, they're actually born already. So this is an extension of your paternity, isn't it, Jesper?
Yeah, it is. So I had 2 weeks when she was born, and now I've got 3 months on the.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
You know,
I don't know about you, Disco. I mean, you're probably a bit too late. So am I, to be fair. But anyone that's young enough to have kids at the moment, get yourself over to Denmark, mate. If you want to start a family, that's their government will look after you over there.
Yeah.
3 days when I had my kids. That's what we
really
got.
back in 1945. Is that just after World War II, isn't it? It's ridiculous those days. They probably didn't have enough air raid shelters, did they, Jesper? Let's be honest. So come on, back to work. Start picking up the bricks from all the houses that have fallen. Light plays. So who's getting the £10 then? Oh, right. Okay. Is that the bet we had going on? Was it? You remind us what the bet was again, mate. Jeff, Joe, if you think Disco's cutting it fine tonight, ask about our younger days going to the Bonnie. And we would arrive in a cab to pick him up. Oh, my God. He's terrible for time, isn't he, Jeff? Evening, Callum. Craig, yes, please subscribe. I don't know where we're at the moment, Disco. I think you can check for us. We're at 1,998 subscribers. So if we get to 2,000, that would be amazing if we do it tonight. James, anyone noticed no Lovelace in training photos recently? Don't tell me he's injured again. Sticks, evening. Right, I'm just going to fly through these ones really quick so we can start the show, guys, because you guys listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts can't see this, will be bored shitless. me just saying hello to everyone. So good to see you. Biggie in the house, how are you doing? I've logged on to 3 chaps and a baby. Look who's talking. And like place the donation Einstein. Okay, you might have to give me a little bit more help with that one. Yes, mate.
It is saying on YouTube 2K subscribers. No, I don't think they round up.
Brilliant. Listen, well done, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Excellent.
Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Chris will be very, very happy when he finds out. Unfortunately, he can't be with us tonight. But he'll be very, very happy when he finds out. So, guys, main topic of discussion, Jesper, this evening is the Mihailo Ivanovic transfer rumour that's still been going around. So apparently Parma at the moment are leading the race with Everton and Wolves also showing interest too. I understand there's offers on the table of around 10 million euros for Ivanovic, which works out about 8.5 million pounds sterling. But these have been turned down allegedly by Millwall. So it does seem like Mill might be holding out for an improved offer or for more money or something. And this has been mentioned by an Italian Sky journalist called Gianluca Di Marzio. If I could just pull up his tweet for you here, 2 seconds. There you go. Gianluca Di Marzio. as I'm fluent in Italian, I'm going to try and read this out. So, la richiesta da Millwall è di 16 million di euro, l'offerta è di 10. And that basically means that they've offered us, you laughing at Disco? They offered us 10 million euros, and basically we exactly, you know, we need the answer, don't we? Really.
I think what they
And
mean
basically
is,
we turned it down.
I think what he thinks is our valuation is 16 million and they're offering 10. I think that's how I read it. Yeah.
So you're more fluent than Italian than I am. Bloody
It's
hell.
just it just makes sense, doesn't it? I think how you
It
read it.
does.
And I
It
don't know
does.
where that valuation is coming from, but yeah.
So I guess, you know, given, come to you first, Jesper, given Ivanovic's age and goal tally in the Championship, what kind of realistic price tag should Mill place on him? For context, I mean, Wickham have recently just valued Coney at £12 million, with a lot of Premier League clubs looking after. I think West Ham being one of them. He's only 21 years of age. Bear in mind, we paid 2.8 million for Ivanovic just under a year ago against Vojvodina. What's your thoughts on the whole, you know, prospect of him leaving? And in your eyes, what would be a fair amount? And also in the chat, guys, we'd have to get your thoughts on this. Who, you know, what would you accept? What's a realistic offer to accept for Ivanovic to let him go? Over to you, Jesper.
Yeah, I just think first of all, I don't think this is the right time for him to leave. I think we already discussed it at the back end of last season. We saw rumours with, as you mentioned, Everton, Wolverhampton. I even think Lazio was mentioned at one point as well. Now it's Parma instead. You know, so I don't know who starts these rumours, where they come from, what is true, what is not. All I want to say is we're in a very strong position. We signed a long-term contract with him. He's a Millwall player, and I would find it very hard to believe that the club would sell him for less than 15 to 20 million pounds in this window, because we would have to reinvest. And where we're going to find a striker, you know, similar to him. Although I would assume that the recruitment team is always out there looking for alternatives the day that he might leave. But I think I think the club might be clever enough to know that it takes silly money to lure him away from the club this window. Next season is a completely different story. He'll have another season under his belt, because we shouldn't forget that he's only had 6 months of proper Championship football. Before that, he was sort of in and out of the team. He wasn't playing consistently. So we've only seen the best of him. We may not even have seen the best of him yet. We've only seen, you know, a very good part of him at the last towards the back end of last season. So I think there's plenty more to come from him. And I think for his career, and I'm not just being biased as a Millwall supporter, I think it would do him wonders to have at least one more season with us, taking his experience and his age into consideration as well. So I really hope he stays for more than just one reason. But yeah.
Yeah, nice one, Jesper, and yeah, agree with what you said there. Disco, over to you. Thoughts on this? I mean, obviously, we don't want to see Ivanovic leave, but it looks like allegedly there's some concrete offers there on the table for him, and Millwall have turned these offers down. But I'm guessing, you know, Parma have got money, you know, burn a hole in their pocket after the sale of Bonnie to Inter, I believe, for like 20 million euros. So I'm not saying they spend all that money on Ivanovic, but they've certainly got money to replace a striker at the moment. So what's your thoughts on the whole debacle at the moment? And if he was to go, what would be a fair transfer fee in your opinion?
Look, I think first and foremost, I think it's a real tribute to him and to the club that we have got people actually bidding for him so early in his career, after just you know, a season with us, and realistically 6 months of, you know, full half a season as such as a first choice. A real credit to the lad. Look, rate the guy very, very highly. Think he's still got a hell of a lot to learn. For me, I think Jesper said it, and I'm 100% in that camp. Another season with us, he will just do us the world of good and be brilliant for him. And let's be honest, he has a first half of the season that he had at the end of the season and progresses on that as well. I think Jeff said it in the comments. It'll be double the value we're talking about now. So it would be, you'd want 20 plus, if not 20, you know, silly money of 25 plus.
But is that a gamble though, Disco? I mean, we saw it with Zian Fleming, didn't we? He had a great first season, started really poorly second season. Suddenly that kind of valuation dropped a bit. Is that a risky game to play with someone like Ivanovic?
Look, of course it is, yeah. Look, I think we've said it on a previous show. It's all down to the player's mindset. Let's be honest. Zian's whole intention was to get to the Prem as quickly as he could. And when we stood in the way of that, I think he saw his arse a little bit. Plus, look, he was played a little bit different out of position with Rowett and what have you, which I don't think really suited him. But no, look, go on, Jess, mate.
No, I was just going to say, just remember that season we lost Rowett after 10 games. We had Joe, then he left, then Harris came in. It was all just one big mess, which also clearly affected, not just Cian, but the whole team. So there was that as well. And I don't think that would happen this season with Alex Neil in charge.
Yeah, good point. So really, it's all down to what he really wants. And I haven't got a clue. I don't know the lad or any of his family like some, but I suspect he's very happy. I think he sees a pathway. Look, I'm not saying if the right offer came and we accepted it, he would refuse to go. I'm sure he would, but I'm not sure the money, much as it's decent, is quite right yet. And I think it would have to be, I think people are saying there, 15 mil plus, which is a lot of money. But I don't want him to go. I don't think he should go. And somebody said on X earlier, and sorry, I don't know who it was. It might have been one of the listeners. But I think they're bang on right. Much as I like the model we've got, we can't. It's not a good model to get players in for a season and then move them on. I think we need to reap the benefits of them as well for more than half a season.
Exactly.
So we got to get that balance. And look, let's be fair to the club. I don't think they're touting him out for sale or wanting to sell. This is speculation from other clubs. And as I say, that's a compliment to him and the club, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Jesper, I mean, how do you weigh up, keeping a player like Ivanovic versus cashing in at his peak value? I mean, of course, we always want to keep our best players. We never see our best players leave. But sometimes, you have to sell in order to reinvest that money again, to make it sustainable, to then maybe buy other players. What's that kind of balance like? And again, how do we kind of move forward from this point? Because ultimately, we need a player that's going to replace him, or do we just go with Coburn and possibly is Nisbet the player that's going to replace Ivanovic? I mean, how does that work in our promotion push this season?
Yeah, I would say that doesn't give me a good feeling if Nisbet and Coburn were the two strikers for next season. Coburn, I've got a lot of faith in him, but I think he's a bigger puzzle, and in that puzzle includes Ivanovic as well, because them two, they make each other very good in a pair up front, whereas we don't know, is Nisbet going to stay? Is Langstaff going to stay? Who's Coburn going to play with then? So that doesn't give me much confidence, I have to say. In terms of selling and keeping assets as well, we have to remember we sold Fleming last summer, who was a talisman for us. We sold Esse in January. Are we really going to sell a player who we bought in August already now? That's three, I would even go as far as say that's three key players that we would lose within 12 months. And I would say that's where the wheel falls off a little bit for me, because of course we need to sell players at the right time. And if they want to go, you can't keep them. But in this case, we need to keep hold of him because he will be a big part of our team next season. He'll be very important. We know what we got in Ivanovic. He's not an unknown quantity, like if we had to bring someone new in. So keeping him another year will do him the world of good. It will do our team the world of good. And keeping the manager that we have now, I'm sure we're in steady hands. So I'm very confident he'll have a good season with us. I'm not. Whereas, with the Fleming case, there were a lot of different factors, that impacted the final transfer fee when he left for Burnley. So, no, in this case, I'd say we keep him almost at all costs. Unless someone slapped 30 million on the table. And the final comment is also, if he's rumored to Parma, and no offense, Parma was good in the 90s. I think those who follow the Italian football, they had a phenomenal team, really, really, really good team. It's not that down nowadays. They just came back up last season to the Serie A, just avoided relegation. And what is he going to be the first choice there? He's 19, 20 years of old. He's going into the Serie A, which is known for having one of the toughest and most, ruthless defenses in the world. So, I don't think that would be a good choice for him right now, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you. Disco, as Jesper rightly said, he scored 12 goals last season, 7 his last 9 games. Who replaces those goals if he was to leave? Yeah, do we have it in our squads, or do we have to reinvest that money and start again and try and unearth the next, Ivanovic, Zian Fleming, for example?
Well, I think you'd have to go out and sign another striker, no doubt. I'm not sure if Alex would then change his mind and say his mind. We're guessing at the moment that he's looking to play a 2 up top again, but he has hinted at that in the reason for Coburn coming back. And good point from somebody there that I think Miha was instrumental in Coburn coming back, and the two of them like each other and talk to each other. And so to then leave wouldn't sort of leave a really good sort of taste in the mouth, as it were. But we'd need somebody else. But I wonder whether then we'd revert to a 1 up top formation, even with getting another striker in. Maybe all bets are off. But I'll be honest, Joe, if I was a betting man, I'd say right now, I don't think he'll go. And the reason is I don't think people will pay enough for him right now. I can't see somebody paying 16 mil plus, even euros.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money that on a
Yeah.
relatively untried youngster.
Really, really good point. Jesper, can you answer that question from Warline? Does Jesper know anything about the Danish lad we were linked with who plays in Turkey?
Well, he doesn't play in Turkey anymore because apparently he got released from his contract at Galatasaray, but he never played for them. So he's a bit of an unknown quantity. He played in the best league here 3 years ago. I asked one of my mates who I played football with in Hamburg. He lives in Aalborg, which is where he used to play. Matthias Ross is the guy's name, and he said he's apparently he's a no nonsense defender who carries his heart on his sleeve, and he's very good in the air. He's strong, he's physical, but he can't seem to remember much of him. Didn't rate him too highly as I could read, but if he's a free transfer, maybe he could be a decent signing. So played in Holland, played him in Czech Republic as well for Sparta Prague. So yeah, he must have some sort of talent about him. So could maybe be a shrewd signing, especially on a free.
Interesting. Staying with yourself, Jesper, and also discussing Mihailo. Do you think he's ready for a move to Serie A, or even indeed the Premier League? Should Wolves or Everton win the race to sign him, or do you think he needs another season with us in the Championship to develop and become the player we know he can be?
No, I don't think he's ready to start in the Premier League. I don't think he's ready to start in the Serie A. I think he's just still too young, he's still too raw, and that's no offense to Mihailo. It's just the fact that he is young, he is raw. So I definitely think for his own sake that at least 1 year in the Championship, whether that was with us or any other club, would do him the world of good in terms of development, experience, and also the toughness you get playing in the Championship. You don't get that many otherwhere else. So no, I don't think he's ready to start for not even Everton, not even Wolverhampton. It's just a different league, the Premier League, compared to the Championship.
Yeah. Well, there was a rumor. Allegedly, he may not be in that training the other day, which again raises suspicions. But then I've heard that he was at training today, so that's a good sign, and that shows that maybe he is here. Maybe there was a possibility that's now been squashed, and okay, he's back on it. He's back in training. So it'd be interesting if he travels rest of the squad in Spain, because I do remember last year when we were out there and Zian Fleming was out there, weren't he, as well? And of course, he didn't play much, and he had some kind of injury, but not long after that, he then obviously was then sold, wasn't he? So that's going to be a telltale sign. Disco, just want to get your thoughts on, with this going on, what message does this send to us, the fans, about Mill's intent? I mean, is it all about, are we showing ambition here, or are we just sort of showing survival mode? Chris mentioned it, Chris Brown and a few other guys in the comments there earlier, how are we going to push for promotion if we keep selling our best players? It's very hard to kind of find that middle ground, isn't it? Because yes, we want to make money, we want to reinvest that money, and rightly so, and we have made some fantastic transfers thanks to Zian Fleming and SA leaving, breaking our transfer record 3 times, signing Coburn and Negley before him, and Ivanovic, of course. But where do you sit there?
Look, in fairness to the club, I mean, somebody made a comment there and said, why don't the club just come out and say he's not for sale at any other price, at any price? You know, that puts a lid on it. Look, it's difficult for the club to do that because at the end of the day, everybody's got a price. Again, as one of the listeners has said, not that we want him to leave, and not that I think the club want him to leave right now. I think the model of the club right now is Miha plays next season. At January, if he's on fire and we get a silly money bid, that could be tricky. Or the end of the season, he's likely to be gone. So, look, I think we need to be fair to the club. The model is to bring in young players with potential talent, develop them, help let them help us be a better team and sell them at the right time. There might not always be a right time for the club. You know, sometimes you just do have to take the money and run, and we'll have to understand that. But I don't think that's the club's I don't think our intention is to sell Miha this summer and before the season starts. So let's be fair. I think the model is exciting. And look, without jumping ahead, I'm really looking forward to who else we're going to bring in, because let's not kid ourselves. We need some more players in, and we need them pretty pronto. Look, we're only a month away, aren't we? Away from
not far. Yeah. And also with these pre-season friendlies, coming in thick and fast, this is the opportunity where you want to test players and look at new players and see how they can fit into our system, going forward. So I guess, Jesper, if we're looking at, the rebuild if Ivanovic goes, surely we want to get this done early. We don't want to wait till the last minute like we did with Fleming, and we find ourselves in a situation where we've got to rush. Okay, we got quite lucky with Ivanovic last season, but we want to do our deals early, don't we? So we can have a good look and see who's out there for the money we can spend.
But I think all clubs want to do it early if they could. But again, it's one big, it's a domino effect. So once the bigger club finds their players, then they can sell off the players that they don't want. And then, it starts to sort of, it moves further down towards the divisions. So I think Gallen made an interview last year about like how the Ivanovic transfer came about, that they went down to see him. He was not available. Then he became available. Then he was not available. And then at the end of the window in August, we finally got him. So it's also about when opportunities arises and when we can sort of pounce on them and get our players in. And it's not just always easy, I guess. I guess every manager, if he could, would have his team ready for Spain and say like, okay, we got all transfers done. That's just how it works, unfortunately. But as Steve said, we need to get players in, and it would be a huge blow to see 5 or 6 players coming in the last week of the window, because it takes time to settle in. You have to move as well. There are personal factors going into this. You have to get to know your teammates, how we play, etc., etc. So that could have also a huge impact on our season as a whole. So I really do hope that we will start to see players coming in here in July at least. So, okay, they might not go to Spain, but at least we'll get them, let's say 70, 80% of the players in before we start 9th of August at Norwich.
Guys, are you sort of half expecting us to suddenly get this announcement that, and I don't mean Sturge, I think we're all thinking that we'll come on to that's going to happen, but something out the wilderness, what a weird and wonderful signing will appear like Negley did, a bit like BFS did, I don't know are you like that? I'm like that, but it's not.
Well, I don't know about you guys. I can't, after spending, 2.5 million on Coburn, I know there's add-ons and whatever. Is there, how much left of that kitty is there for us to go out there and just sort of sign some big players at the moment? Are we waiting for possibly an Ivanovic sell in order for us to really go and attack the market and bring in sort of 2 or 3 decent signings? I don't know. Is that the reason why there's probably a little bit of a pause at the moment on transfers? What's your thoughts, Jesper?
I don't think necessarily, because we have to remember we also released 4 players who were here before, in terms of Hodge, Mossa, Saville and Honeyman, now which frees up wages for new players to come in. In terms of how much we have in actual money to spend on transfers, I don't know. I'm not sure, but we still maybe have some SA money, some Fleming money left in the bank, and maybe James is also willing to add a little bit to that in order to really get a strong team for next season. So I think my guess would be that we will spend around 10 to 12 million this window. It's just a guess, and I could be completely wrong. But we already spent maybe 4 4-ish on these players so far. But I don't think I would be surprised if I saw another 2 million signing, 2.5. We already saw we were linked with what was it, Caleb Taylor from West Brom,
Callum,
or
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and it
That's
was
got a bit
rumored to be
quiet now
around
as well, isn't it?
2.5. It was rumored. So I just think
Yeah.
these are the fees nowadays, and it was something I actually laughed about the other day, because if we only have to go back 6-7 years ago when our biggest transfer was Paul Goodard, from the 90s.
I
Before that,
know.
we only spent like 1 million on that, or below that on
£800,000 that was back in those days. I
800,000,
remember
and it was always
for
mentioned
years.
because
Oh, yeah.
we hadn't spent more, and that that to me tells me a bit about the club, that we always been very reluctant to spend actual money on players, and now we're spending 2, 3, 4 million pounds on players,
Incredible.
which of course it scares people a bit, because they think, well, are these players actually worth the money? But when you look at other clubs where they purchase players for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 million, and I know they might have more money than we have, but it's just players don't cost only 800,000 anymore. It's it's a different world now, and good players, they cost money, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
I think James is probably unwilling to take a risk, because he also sees an investment in these sort of players, and can see that there might be a profitable end for some of these players down the line as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Chris Brown, Joe has signed yet. Well, I was going to talk about that a little bit later, but I tell you what, let's do it now. So I think Craig mentioned it earlier in the chat as well. So I remember Rich Cowley mentioning a little while ago about about Sturge. He said, look, it's going to happen. It's looking really promising, blah, blah, blah. That was about a month ago. So I just messaged him on Twitter. I just asked him, what's the situation on Zak Sturge? I think this was his original tweet, if I remember. So that Mill were close to a deal for Chelsea, Zak Sturge. And he just come back with, got no idea. Like, it's all gone a bit quiet. He's got no idea. I've tried to ask a few people that I know, and no one's really saying much about it either at the moment, So it's very, very difficult to see whether that's actually going to happen or not, because, you might think by now that would be a done deal. Then again, I'm hearing things like you're dealing with Chelsea, and they are tough to deal with. There's lots of, red tape there and things you've got to go through. They want to make sure they get the best deal that they can get out of this. So I'm sure there'll be lots of add-ons there and percentages and sell-on clauses that want to try and negotiate, which is probably the reason why it's a little bit of a hold-up there. But I'm led to believe that Zak Sturge is very, very keen to join Millwall. He wants to join Millwall. He loved his time with us, made some good friends in the group, especially with the younger players. And it looks like it's going to happen. But Disco, is there a delay in your opinion, or do you think there's a change of heart? I mean, do you think this is just the behind-the-scenes sort of paperwork delays, or could there be second thoughts in your opinion?
No, look, frustrating as it is, and let's be honest, that's a deal we thought would be done and dusted, as you say, Joe, well by now. I look, again, I have no inside info. I'll be really surprised if it goes pear-shaped. I think it is literally done. It's about the finite, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and people saying, is it to do with Chelsea being in the World Club Championship? What a farce that is, by the way, etc., etc. I've no doubt it probably has, and all the financial fair play and all that they have to contend with. You heard Mark Fairbrother in his interview saying about how you have to be aware of all the rules and regulations and staying within the certain criteria. Imagine what that's like at Premiership level now. So stupid, minuscule as it might seem, it's no doubt part of it. And Chelsea have signed a young left back today, haven't they? A young a schoolboy or trainee. I think Paul posted it on or it might have been on Twitter actually. So look, I without I'm going to stick my head on the block. I think the deal's done. We're just waiting to actually for the ink to dry and to be able to announce it. So fingers crossed that'll happen soon.
Just going to Hughesy, is Richie Cowley still in the loop at Mill after revealing the Jaffet buyout clause? So obviously he's probably not privileged to know the ins and outs as what he was before, because obviously he had an agreement with Millwall at a club where I'm sure he would have, knew a lot of things and probably was told when he could and when he couldn't say things. He was very, very quick to kind of announce stuff. But he's obviously affiliated with Charlton now and doing lots of work with them. But he's still in the know. He still knows people. He's got friends and contacts. And that's why every now and again you might see him tweet about Jaffet or, whoever it might be, Ivanovic, because he's not, I guess, obligated to keep his mouth shut anymore. And he can just say what he wants. It's almost like free speech, isn't it? So that's probably the reason why they're...
Within reason, Joe, he'll know the boundary he can push.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But cut himself off. He's a professional. But
to what Husey said there, the Jaffet buyout clause, that's something that you'll never hear anyone mention or bring up.
No, yeah,
but he did. And you do wonder whether did he push the boundaries on that one a bit. But again, the point I make is he's got no one to upset anymore, is he? So he can sort of say what he wants. But you're right. He'll be respectful and he'll be, careful what he says. But yeah, for the fact he's come out and said no news on Sturge at the moment, I think that's pretty much where we are with it, I guess.
What do you think, Joe? Do you think it's a done deal or do you think there's complications?
I don't know. I heard from a very, very reliable source a few weeks ago that it's done. It's done, he's signed, he's coming, but they've just gone quiet, and I don't really know what's happening at the moment. I haven't heard anything different, but it's a little bit, it's gone a bit quiet, of course.
He's not injured.
No, I don't think so. Because again, could he have failed a medical? We don't know, do we? All sorts of things.
I'm jesting.
No,
honestly.
I know, but I know what you mean. But you do start scratching your head, don't you? You do start thinking or wondering what else could it be. You really, really do. Just for coming to yourself, with us putting so much effort into this Sturge deal potentially to come in as a player that's going to kind of push Joe Bryan. Do you feel we're possibly missing out on a key position here? This falls through by putting all our eggs in one basket with him, and can we cope without him and just have the one left back with Joe Bryan, with possibly Danny McNamara covering all those right-footed on the left side again?
No, I don't think that would be the option. I think, as Steve said, I think it's a matter of, I wouldn't say complications, but I think it's just a matter of the two clubs finding a deal that suits them both. And I could imagine, Chelsea being the part, being a real pain in the arse and adding on all sorts of sell-on clauses and God knows what. In terms they feel that they miss out on a player who they could potentially make millions on later down the line. So I think he wants to come. I don't think his salaries is going to be the issue here because, he's still a young kid and he has to prove himself. So I think it's a matter of Chelsea being the complicated part without knowing. Again, it's just me assuming. But it would be nice to get the deal done, also for him to go to Spain with the team, if that's the case. So hopefully we'll see an update on this week. Could be very good for all parts.
It'd be lovely if he's there. Let's be honest. It's a great opportunity to bring any sort of player, especially a young player like Zak Sturge, get him in that squad for Spain, and it's good for team morale. Get him amongst it all. So that'd be important. Disco, should the club be more transparent, in your opinion, when deals go quiet like this? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, as a fan, of course, I would love them to be more transparent and, like people are saying earlier, shut down a deal or be a bit more upfront. But look, I think they'll tell us what they can tell us. And we've always been a little bit guarded with the info we share. And that's done for professional reasons, not because they want to piss us off. We do our business, you can argue, the right way. Much as everybody wants rumours and everybody wants to get a little taster, I think the club always do it the right way. So, no, I think in this instance, saying nothing is the right thing rather than... Because anything could happen until the ink is dry and they're having their photo with a shirt. I guess anything can happen, and it has done in the past at other clubs and ours. So, no, I trust the club to be doing the right things.
Although I would say, Joe, it was quite interesting to see how keen Alex Neil was on getting Josh Coburn back from for next season. How keen he was, and when he spoke about him, he almost felt the club had to go and buy him. Sort of I wouldn't say put pressure on him, but it was along those lines anyway, that I really, really want him. This is my number one target for if we go and get a new striker. So and we
He was
got him.
very open,
He was very open
transparent
about
that,
that.
wasn't
He
he?
was, yeah, despite just still being a Middlesbrough player. So that was quite interesting to see how direct he was in his communication with that one, and we got it over the line. So, but yeah, in terms of the club, what Steve says, they can't tell us too much. They never can.
Yeah.
And I think over the years, especially the last couple of seasons, there are not any rumors before we see the shirt, and suddenly it just pops up. Oh, we signed this guy. Suddenly there's a drone flying over the den, filming Neckley. Now we signed this guy, and then we signed, didn't we sign 3 or 4 players in one day? There was Benicia Baker, Zach Lovelace, Neckley in one day. So they're keeping it very, very tight. Yeah,
that would be a great week to do a live show, wouldn't it? To discuss all that again. Hopefully that will happen very, 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 very soon. So obviously moving on from Zak Sturge, and I want to talk about some sad news, and this is a tribute, I guess, to Gordon Jago. So Gordon Jago, who sadly passed away last week, aged 92 years of age. Those obviously who know him, he was the manager for Millwall, who led us to promotion to the second division back in 1976. So he also had a successful football life both in the USA as well as in England, and was actually awarded the MBE in 2006 from Queen Elizabeth II in honour for his lifetime achievements advancing association football around the world. So come to you first, Disco, because I don't know whether Jesper was old enough to remember Gordon Jago about that time. But as someone who probably knows Mill's history very, very well, Disco, how significant was Jago's impact during his time at the club, from what you remember?
Yeah, look, I definitely remember going down the old den, and Jago was the manager, and my dad at times bemoaning him, but more often than not, certainly complimenting him on his style of football and his approach. I'm not got a great memory as I'm getting older, but the day he died, I said to Jeff, who's on here, Jeff Cook, wasn't he renowned for being visionary, very ahead of his time? And he was regarded as that, a real modern day technical and visionary coach, which is bloody brilliant for Millwall, as you can imagine. And I think I'll stand corrected, but Jeff said to me, apparently he started to get involved in trying to change the image of the club, saying, look, we need to lose this. We're rough fans, and we play hoofball and this, that and the other. And I think he pushed it a little bit too far, and he started to upset a few of the fans, etc. And that's the fine line you tread, isn't it? Going from losing the Millwallness, to be a different type of football and a different image. So yeah, very visionary. A mate of mine lives in America, and he said he was responsible for setting up some American tournament over there that was for youngsters or youth teams, and it was very, very highly rated. So he was a very, very well liked man, and my great hero Gordon Hill put on X, how sad he was to see him pass away. 92, I think, decent innings.
Yeah.
Sad to see him go, and Gordon said a big influence on his career as well. So God, rest in peace, Gordon Jago.
Yeah. Save yourself, Disco. I mean, you've probably seen or heard stories about the 1976 promotion. Was there any memories or standout things you could associate with Jago at the time, and what's going on in the club?
No, Joe, as I say, I honestly, I would have been going down there then in those days. What was I, 12, 13? I'd have gone with my old man, maybe starting to be allowed to go on my own. I lived over in Lewisham at the time, so getting the bus in.
What was the football like? Do you remember what the football was like, or style of football? Obviously, we're winning games. We got promoted. I mean...
I can only remember people saying, "Oh, we're playing great football," but I can't honestly, Joe. It's because my memory's shit. Jeff, as I say, he can remember like every ball that's kicked. I wish I had that bloody memory. But But
Jeff,
it comes in handy not remembering things, and it also doesn't help you, you know. So
Jeff, help your mate out, mate, and just give us a quick comment. I'd love to know, just the style of football that he was playing, and what was he like as a coach from your recollection? Because poor Disco's losing as he's getting older.
Joe, look, it frustrates me. Even like first game, I cannot remember the first game I went to, which is a real frustrate. You know, you think, Jesus, it should be in your mouth, but I can't. I'm that tight. Some people can remember. I can't. Yeah, what's he?
Well, Jeff Cook just said there, 92, the same number of points to next season. So that's what they won with. Yeah. So Jesper, I mean, I know you don't remember Jago. He was in the Panorama series. I think one of the guys mentioned it here. If I could bring it up, there was, where are we? Oh, can't seem to find it now. There we go. Rob T said he was manager at the time at the Panorama show. And if you remember at the time, I think he even brought the Mill supporters, on the pitch, didn't he? He was talking to them and trying to almost kind of re-educate them and say, look, do you want the media and the press to get on our backs, and you've got to behave yourselves and all that stuff. So to your point, Disco, that might have been the part of his downfall, I guess, in some sort of ways, because he probably wasn't seen as one of us because of the way he was trying to change the ethos of the club. But Jesper, I mean, again, just come back to yourself. I mean, how important is it to keep these historical figures alive in the fan culture, especially for the younger generations, even younger than us, that obviously clearly won't know about Jago, but they need to know about the history, don't they, of course?
I think it's very important. And I think we have to remember also this year, we turn 140 years old. I think it's really important that you keep the history alive, that we honor. I don't know if Jago was a legend, but he was apparently very revolutionary in his term of, his style of football, the way he wanted to change certain things, etc. And I think when young kids and, younger generations, they see these sort of, former managers and former what have you, they go, they leave, they die. They might, have an interest in looking them up and see like, okay, what did this person actually do to Millwall? What part did they play in the club's history? What did they do for the club? What type of manager were they? So I think it's really important that every time someone leaves and someone is not here anymore, that we honor them and that we mention them in the best possible way. Whether that have to be a minute's silence in the stadium or a minute's applause, or it could be, showing some sort of other gratitude outside the stadium, or I don't know what it could be. I think it's very important that we do it always. I think it's very important for especially as the club grows older and older, we have to remember where do we come from and where does this club stem from, originally, and who has been part of this journey so far.
Just so I listened to you, I'm also reading some of these comments here. I mean, Jeff just said there just now, he suggested changing our name, and that was it. It's sort of going too far. I know that's changed us to the Millwall Kittens rather than the Millwall Lions. Maybe who knows what he was hoping to change it to. And Rob T said, didn't Jago bring in an analysis to the staff? This is years ahead of his time. And you're right. That was way, decades ahead of his time, wasn't it, really, we think about it, Billy agrees with you there, Jesper. You just said, well said. Disco, just to end off with yourself, Jesper mentioned it about, can we do something in honour of his memory, maybe a minute's silence at the Den on our first home game of the season, or something a little bit more permanent. What's your thoughts? How do you think we should celebrate his life at Millwall Football Club?
Yeah, look, I'd love to think we will do that, as you say. First game, either a minute's applause or silence. Probably applause. I would suggest. Probably wouldn't want to make it too much of a memorial, because we don't do too well, do we, when we have to celebrate somebody's passing, unfortunately. Look, we need a bloody good start this year. So I think a minute's applause for me would be very welcome, and black armbands.
But sorry, Steve, isn't that also what you normally do when that's, I don't know how to put it, so I don't, say something wrong here. But I mean, he lived a long life. He was 92, so for him to go was not unexpected, so to speak. And he lived a very good life. He was honored by, as you mentioned, the Queen Elizabeth. He'd done really well for us. So I think it would be more appropriate to give a minute's applause rather than having a minute of silence, because he's done well. He's had a good
Yes.
life, and this
It's
was
like
his time.
it's like a celebration, isn't it, on his life,
Yeah,
rather than
yeah,
mourning him. You're right.
sort of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, when we talk about this segment, he's had a fantastic life. Lived in the States, made a name for himself out there. Revolutionised football and youth football in America, and getting an MBE is incredible, really. So he's had a fantastic life. I mean, God, I don't know if he's got a book out at the moment, whether they've done one for him or not, but yeah, it would be a very, very interesting read. It really would, and I'm sure we'll do something for him in honour of his life and what he's done for Millwall back in the 70s, of course. So to Jago and his family, we wish you all the best, and sorry to hear of this sad news, of course. Moving forward, guys, I want to talk about the pre-season fixtures. We're not very far away now for the Spain trip coming up. So Millwall face Northampton on the 15th of July and Elche, a Spanish local side, on the 18th of July in Spain. Coming to you first, Disco, what are you hoping to learn from these games? Is it about sharpness, tactics, or just building fitness at the moment? What's your thoughts on these games?
Well, I look, first and foremost, to see what players we've actually got, and as we're saying, we'd expect Sturge to be there at the very least, and hopefully maybe another one or two. I might be being too hopeful, but added. I think Alex Neil, in his interview on Millwall TV, was suggesting even going to Spain was really just about fitness. And getting a bit, trying to get match fit and minutes in the legs, as they call it. And then they would come back and build up from there. So I wouldn't read too much into it in terms of formations, etc., etc. It was quite interesting, wasn't it? You were there, Joe, last year, but remember we played Forest and they were furious, weren't they? Because we kicked lumps out, which was fucking brilliant.
Well, they weren't the trade. I mean, they're clearly a very, very good side for us, full of technical, talented players. But you're right, they treat it like a bit of a training game, a bit of a relaxed one. But Mill were going through, going in 2 feet and in his tackles and really putting up them. But what's interesting was that week, the Forest fans, it seems like they were very, very sort of quiet. There wasn't really a lot of back and forth. But then when we played against the Spanish team, which I think it's called La Murcia, I think they were, their Spanish fans would become a little bit quite hostile. And we're both on the same side, sort of like giving a bit of abuse back and forth, and you can't help but feel it's that kind of England versus Spain sort of thing. It was quite funny, but they were getting really, really wound up. But of course, when I think we scored, then they equalised, I think it was from memory. And then we got a winner right at the end, the last minute, which was Tom Leahy scored from a corner, I think it was. Yeah. But yeah, it's a really, really great experience. I'm glad I can't go this year. But guys in the chat, if you're going, fantastic. If you listen back to this recording and you're out there or you're going out there, you have the best time. It's a really lovely little stadium, great weather, and what a great experience for you guys. I'm jealous. I really am.
And I would say, Joe, just to finish off on that, Forest, somebody's saying there, Forest are still fuming about it now. Who's that? He's gone now. But
in the Beaver.
To be fair, what a bloody season they then went and had. So they can thank us for setting them up for a season.
Exactly.
So we gave them this year.
We gave them the confidence, didn't we, to go out there and attack, absolutely. I know. We will talk about it in a second, Rob T. We'll touch on that one in a minute. Coming to yourself next, Jesper. How do you view these type of friendlies abroad as opposed to having them in the UK? I mean, what's the advantages of them in your opinion?
I don't know if the actual fixtures has any sort of beneficial effect to the team, but of course it's always good for the team, especially for the new players. Again, that's why we always want players to come in before these pre-season tours, because it's a great way to bond. It's also a good way for the younger players to get a taste of what it's like being on a pre-season tour with the first team. So there are that element to it as well. The two friendlies that we're going to play, so is it Northampton and Elche? It couldn't be more different. I mean, Northampton is going to be very physical. It's going to be very, English as we know it. And then Elche, I only know them because they got promoted to the La Primera again, so they will be playing Barcelona, Real Madrid, all these teams next season. So it'll be a tough
decent side
opponent.
then.
It's a decent side, and I think Murcia, they were playing in the third best league when we played them.
Yes.
And you could see it. They were quite aggressive. They were like they were like us playing against Forest.
Yeah.
And,
you're right,
which I was really surprised about, because usually Spanish teams are about technique,
that was the game,
and possession, and
sorry to disrupt. That was the game where Malachi got injured, didn't he? Our left back, and that wasn't.
But that was sort of in a solo injury, wasn't it? On the sideline, sort of
he sort of rolled his knee or something, didn't he? Yeah. But you're right, though. It's very, very physical game that was, and there was a few tackles flying in. It didn't feel like a friendly, in my opinion.
But I would say, even though Alex Neil says that it's about the physical part and getting minutes into your legs, that like Steve said, I'm very excited to see us play against a side like Elche, to see how do we cope with a very technical, very good side.
Yeah.
The Northampton game, you always can assume how that's going to be. But the Elche one could be very interesting to watch, and I'm pretty sure they'll stream it again as they did last year. So I'll be watching that one.
Was it on Millwall TV? Yeah, last year.
Yeah, I think it was Millwall TV. Yeah, I actually think they streamed it for free, if I'm not mistaken. I think you can watch it for free. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
Disco.
I think as well, Joe. I think as well. What I like. Is I've got just from what he says, and talking last year, saying that he hadn't had a pre-season with the team.
Yes,
it seems like Alex Neil puts a lot of emphasis on fitness levels and setting a team up at the beginning of the season to go through the season the right way. And when we have players injured, he always talks really well, doesn't he, about their rehab program, how we're not going to rush them back, but what steps they've got to go through to get back. So I'm really interested, like Jesper, to see how we play and how we, what he does with them in the pre-season as well.
Yeah. So interesting point that Jesper made there, Disco, as well. With Elche getting promoted into the top flight now with La Liga, obviously they're not going to. You like to think they're not really going to compete that well. The second tier in Spanish football, maybe it's like League One, I'm guessing, standard wise, because apart from the top teams in Spain, a lot of them are fairly kind of mediocre, aren't they? Quite average, I suppose. But what I want to ask you is, are you surprised by the level of oppositions that we're
watching? Crikey.
I know. No, let's be honest though. There's probably a handful of good sides, isn't there, in Spain, and the bottom half not really that great. The second tier are not fantastic. I would say they're championship level. I wouldn't say they're championship. The second tier. They're not as good as championship.
Sorry, second tier. I thought you were saying La Liga. Right, sorry, yeah.
No, second tier. So what I'm saying, if they're going up, it's like I don't know, a championship team getting promoted going to the Premier League. So are they actually going to make a big difference in the Premier League the following season?
Joe, I'm sorry, I don't agree. I'm pretty sure Elche would give Port Vale a good run for their money. You say that they're the same level as League One.
Well, maybe so. But the point I'm making is, I think it'll be a good test for us, but they're not going to be world beaters, are they? They're not going to walk over us, I would have thought. So I think it's going to be a fairly, a competitive game, nothing too hard. Northampton's will be fairly, very easy. I feel we'll get more possession in the Northampton game. Maybe Elche will have more possession. It'll be a different type of game. Go on, Jessica.
I'll put a £10 bet out now, and I'll say there'll be at least 3 players from that Elche side that you want to sign when we played them. At least 3. Yeah, at least 3. Yeah.
Do you think they'll beat us?
No, because I think they start later than us, so because of fitness, we might, have an even game. But I think quality-wise, I don't think necessarily we'll struggle, but I think they will be more dominant on the ball for sure. Yeah.
Do you think so? This is my point. I think we'll beat them. The standard. I just think we'll win that game. I could be wrong. They could turn us over, losing 4-0, 5-0. Who knows?
No, I don't think it will be. I think it will be very even in terms of the scoreline. I just think position-wise and technically they'll be better. in general.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll give them that. The technical side of it, Spanish football, yes, it is. But, football isn't just about being technical, is it? You've got to have other aspects to your game.
A bit like Leighton Orient were against us last year.
Yeah, well, they actually played us off the park, didn't they? That game, to be fair. But the point I'm trying to get back to, Disco, if I can get to it, is are you surprised by the level of oppositions that we're playing in pre-season? Would you rather us sort of test ourselves against stronger sides? Because obviously we've got Sutton, we've got AFC Wimbledon, we've got lots of teams that we kind of feel we should be beating. Would you want to see us play against a Premiership side, for example?
Yeah, look, it's a fine balance. You have to say most of the pre-seasons are a little bit underwhelming and the same old. And you think, look, I've got a mate who's a Borough fan, Middlesbrough, and they're going up to Rangers, 10,000 of them going up to, they've given them the whole end, they're 10,000. You think, Christ, what a great game that would be. But then the other side of it is, realistically, what is pre-season about? It's about, without taking the old out the manager's mouth, it's minutes in the legs, it's fitness, it's working on formations, etc., etc. So if it's a bit like the Palace game, I know we keep dodging it, but that is all about just preparation. Look, do I think we should be doing it in view of what happened? No, but I do get it in terms of it's a local game we can play behind closed doors. I think we did. We did in Rowett's day. I think that was behind closed doors, wasn't it? When Fleming
signed.
Yeah.
So look, it's all part of the plan, as it were. A bit underwhelming, but it's going to put minutes in our legs. And like you say, Joe, actually, when you think of it and you put it like that, the difference in games in Spain is really good, actually, isn't it? Because you'll have quite we'll have more possession, or should have, against Northampton, and they'll be up and at us a bit more rugged. But then, as Jesper definitely says, technically and on the ball, you'd imagine Elche will be another level, a real another level.
I just seen a few of the comments coming in here, and I don't mean sort of like slag off the Spanish league. I've seen a few comments here, but I remember a few years ago watching Malaga got promoted from the second tier to the top tier, and I went to go watch that game. I was with some friends of mine. We watched the game, and they had to win this game to get promoted. And I must admit, I was a little bit underwhelmed with the quality. And I thought, well, it's a second tier of football. I was expecting to see like some tiki-taka type of football. It wasn't that. So maybe in my mind, I'm thinking, well, that's just a standard of League Two. There's a big gulf between League Two and the top teams in League One. So I'm not trying to say that league teams are shit in the second tier, but I just feel that they're not going to probably give us the tests that we want to play against a very, very top side, especially if we're going to be playing against the likes of Leicester's and your Southamptons next season, who of course are going to be challenging at the top end. Is the point I was making, if I'm honest. Jesper, this trip abroad, obviously, I quite like the idea of it. I love the fact we're going over to Spain, and gives the fans a chance to go over and watch the team as well. But do you feel that this trip also offers team a lot more in regards to sort of team bonding, especially with the new players coming in, the youngsters who look like Max Crocombe, for example? I remember last season when we signed Jensen, and he was very, very new to the party. So was Liam Roberts. And I remember going out there and seeing the team bonding and stuff like that. And it was quite nice, bringing all these new players in. It was an opportunity for them to get to know each other as well. And I guess in some ways, if we're going to get these youngsters break into the first team next season, the likes of Zach Lovelace and BBB and AJ Matthews and a few more, not to mention that, is this a good opportunity for them to kind of really kind of get in there and bond up? I mean, last year, you may remember the news, there was a bit of carnage in Spain, weren't there? I think Bradders was in something, there's a few that going out partying, and there's rumours that, that they had a bit too much fun. So I guess it's all part of team bond, though, isn't it, Jesper, at the end of the day?
Yeah, I guess so, to a certain extent. I guess they still go out, they have these, especially for the new players, there's this initiation party where they have to do a song or they have to do something. And I think on the last night, usually on these preseason tours, they are sort of allowed to go out and find a restaurant and do sort of what they want. I still think that exists nowadays in most teams. So it's a very good thing, especially also for the younger players to be part of this and to sort of see this. But in terms of initiation, Coburn's done his, and then it's only Max Crocombe, isn't it? He's the only one, I think, going out there now.
It's going to be a very, very short initiation, isn't it? Yeah.
He's going to be the only one entertaining. He's going to have a big show on his hand. He's going to prepare like 30 minutes to cover for all these.
He could do the haka.
It's a bit like our show tonight. We try to drag out 90 minutes. So we do the same for the initiation song, don't they?
Exactly. Yeah. So but it's a very good experience for the younger kids as well, and I hope they get a chance also to play. And I think we will only play 2 games, right? But I could imagine against a team like Northampton that they could get a chance to play at least 45 minutes. So, but it'll be interesting to see who goes. I think most of them are nailed on in terms of Massey, Kelly, Matthews, Lovelace, Baker, Mayer.
Yeah.
But then I also looked at what about Jack Howland, Sheldon Kendall, who also played in the FA Cup, and then of course Kamal Grant.
Love to get them involved. Guys in the chat, if you haven't seen the interview yet that I did with Nugent, the under-21s manager, and we sort of spoke about the young players, and I asked him the question, which player stands out for you as most potential, and he mentioned Howland as well, was someone who he rates very, very highly. I'd love to see him involved next season. Very, very talented player. Also, Tony Keats mentioned here, Jesper, that they finished 13th in La Liga last year.
Yeah, but Ben de Bever corrected him further down. Further down again.
Oh, sorry. That was in 2021 they finished 13th. So just got okay. Nice one. Yeah. Cheers, Ben de Bever. Okay. So,
so the other thing is, it's really important for the youngsters, isn't it? Like you say, it's important for the pros because obviously fitness and all that. But for youngsters, you mentioned him. Oh, Malaki, who was last year. I think there were strong rumours he was going to be given a chance in the season. He got injured, didn't play, and now we've let him go. That's his career.
That's what I'm saying.
Changed totally, isn't it?
All from that one injury, Disco. You're absolutely spot on, because up until that point, he was absolutely flying. And
I'm not saying his career's over. I'm saying with Millwall.
No, but his Millwall career could have been certainly was over, wasn't it? Yeah. Exactly. Should we move on? So,
yes.
Next segment I want to talk about is another friendly. It's the Millwall versus Crystal Palace friendly, Disco. So this is a behind closed doors friendly, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be live on Millwall TV. If you want to watch it, it's this Saturday on the 12th. So it's a Palace friendly set on the 12th of July. It seems like it's still raw, Disco, with a lot of Millwall fans at the moment after the Mateta Roberts incident. And of course, Steve Parish's comments at half time. And as you can appreciate, this probably played a big part in Roberts ending up leaving Millwall, partly due to the fallout and and all the rest that came off it afterwards. How do you feel about Millwall agreeing to play Palace again, even behind closed doors, given what happened last season?
Look, as I think I said before, Joe, look, from a football perspective, I get it, and I don't think it will do anything but good for both clubs. But from a PR point of view, I was really surprised when I saw we were doing that. You look, we want to stay professional and not look like we're throwing our toys out the pram, all that stuff. But look, with what happened and the way they shafted us and the subsequent information that came out where Palace had written to the FA really endorsing the fact that Roberts should get a bigger punishment, etc., etc., that sticks in the throat. And you think, hang on, I'm not sure we should really be entertaining that. So I totally understand fans thinking, I'm not impressed with that at all. And I'm in that camp. But from a football point of view, I get it, and they'll not think twice about it as such. And interesting to see if Mateta plays, as people are saying. Maybe Crocombe will take him out. Yeah.
How about yourself, Jesper? Do you see it as a bit of an unnecessary sort of fixture, or do you think it's just football and it's just football business and we should move on. Obviously, it's behind the closed doors game as well. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that's the main key here, is that it's behind closed doors. So it's a game. I think you can still watch the game, but there won't be fans turning up for this game. If it had been, we usually have a last friendly at the Den before the season. If it had been that one, that would have been catastrophical. That would have been, we shouldn't be doing that. And I don't want to play devil's advocate here, but in terms of Liam Roberts, he's left the club now, so he won't be traveling to this game and be part of that. So from that point of view, I get it, and I think Alex Neil also touched on it in his interview that they don't want to travel too far. We go to Bromley, we go to Sutton, we go to Palace. Who else do we have? I think it was another one. I can't remember. Anyway, I think he doesn't want to travel too much, and if we can get these friendlies in, AFC Wimbledon, so we're in the neighborhood, for all these games, and I think that's what matters to them. But I get the point of view that we've been sort of thrown under the bus by Palace, and then we go and accept as friendly. I get that point, but again, it's friendly, and I guess at the end of the day, we at one point we have to move on as well. But I don't think this is forgotten. And if anything, should happen something similar, there should be a rift with Crystal Palace somehow, I'm pretty sure the club would react one way or the other. So just because we go to this friendly doesn't mean that this match is forgotten. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah. Just notice H is in the house, aka Huggy Bear. So, H, what's happened with Zak Sturge? What's the word on the street, H? Is he signing? Where's Ivanovic? Is he staying? Let us know. Disco. Obviously, from a fan's point of view, as Jesper rightly said, it does feel like the club have kind of overlooked how damaging this incident kind of was to Roberts, in your opinion. So, do you feel that maybe this sort of sends a message to the fans, sort of say we kind of forgive and forget, or is it beyond that? Is it more a case that they're thinking this makes more commercial sense in regards to, future player transfers and things like that, perhaps? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's just heads over hearts, and I think like people are saying there, look, was it part of the deal with SA going that it was agreed we'd do a friendly and all that? And look, the locality of it, we don't want to be travelling too far. It's a good run out for us. It's a good run out for them. As I say, I understand from a footballing point of view. I just don't quite understand from the PR point of view. But as Jesper said, look, let's not kid ourselves. It's a friendly first go. I didn't realise it was this weekend. So it's this weekend. It's the first sort of game they're going to probably play. Who knows? It might get a bit feisty. I doubt it. I think they'll all be a bit cautious. And look, it's just a good run out, and it works for both clubs. So let's wait for the proper, when we play them properly in a game, then it'll be a great atmosphere, won't it? And we'll be able to vent our opinions accordingly.
Hopefully at our place.
Yes.
Where is it actually held? Do we know? Is it held at our place or at their place? Do we know yet or not?
No.
Where the game's been held? No.
No. Last time we played them at their place.
It was their training ground last time, so I'm pretty sure it might be at a training ground again. It could be at their training ground. I don't think it'll be at ours. I'm pretty sure it must be at theirs, because if it is at ours, everyone will be queuing up outside the gates, wouldn't they, watching over the railings? We'll have about 10,000 Millwall fans on the streets trying to catch a glimpse of it. So
trying to shake Mateta's hand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So so we kind of covered off quite a lot of the things, guys. I mean, apologies today. There's probably not a lot to talk about. One thing I want to talk about, Jesper, is any updates on transfers in and out. Any rumours you heard about that's worth mentioning and talking about this evening?
Well, there was the guy who asked about the Danish player, so we already covered him, Matthias Ross.
Yeah.
So let's see if there's anything to that link. And then we saw there was an interesting one that was posted in our group by Angelo Milotto about this Dutch guy, Yadi Black, who plays in Holland, apparently for ADO Den Haag, who plays in the second best league. And I could see
Rob
something
mentioned
being
it here. Yeah.
Where? Sorry.
Is it on
In the
screen?
chat? Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
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 I could, yeah, that link makes sense. He's a central midfielder. We need an experienced central midfielder. He's 27 years of age. It's valued around 500 to 600k. Could be a decent transfer, for us. My only concern is he's 27. He's predominantly played in the second best league in Holland, but he's been very good. He's got 30 goals to 180 games. So from a central midfield point of view, I think that's pretty decent.
Really good.
So let's
But
see.
a lower level? Was it? Are they second?
At a lower,
second tier again?
in the second best league. He's also played 50 games in the best Dutch league, in the Eerste Division, as it's called. So he's got some experience about him, and he could be maybe one of the better players for their team. So maybe that's why we're trying to get him. If there's anything to the link, again, it's gossip.
Yeah.
We read any sort of rumors these days to see what might come off. But I think that link
Clutching straws.
could make sense in some sort of way. So. And then there was the reporter from ADO Den Haag. He posted something on X saying, "Oh, they're back in pre-season." That was on the 2nd of July. But this guy, the guy we're talking about, was missing due to personal reasons. That all about? Yeah. So let's see. It's
exactly. Let's see. How about yourself, Disco? Any rumours you heard? Any rumblings of names or noise of people that you heard mentioned?
I don't know anything about him as Jesper, well, obviously knows a hell of a lot more, but we don't know a lot about him. But like I said earlier, that's the sort of signing I'm sort of expecting us to suddenly make. Is this guy we've never heard of suddenly coming in and being signed, sitting in the stand, and the camera zooming in and saying, "Who the hell is that?"
Yeah,
a bit like Negley, but. And I liked what I read about him. Maybe I'm just desperate to sign someone, but he sounds like he's a big unit. Jesper, 6'3".
Yeah,
seems like it.
Yeah. Yeah, you know how I like a big unit, so...
especially between the sticks, say Disco.
Correct. But isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting whether this is true? I do think there might be something in this, although something then made me think, maybe not. I didn't like the fact there was a subsequent correspondence, and apparently a Dutch news reporter was saying he'd spoken to his associates and contact or agents, and they'd said, "We know nothing about this contact from Millwall." And you sort of think normally they'd just keep quiet, wouldn't say anything. So to have quashed it was, bloody hell, that's a kick in the ball. Yeah. So I don't know now whether it's got legs or not. But interesting, isn't it? He's 6'3". Caleb Taylor, they're saying, is 6'5"? Another Jake Cooper, isn't he?
Yeah. Unit.
Keeper's huge. Is this something the club, and Alex Neil particularly, and Coburn's, Christ, I didn't know Coburn. Is he 6'5"?
He is, yeah. He's very...
Yeah.
He's another unit.
I don't know if he's 6'5".
I saw and I thought, I didn't know he was that tall.
I'm pretty sure he is.
But he's bloody tall. You're tall, aren't you, Jesper? So...
Yeah, well, I'm 6'5".
Jesper, you're 6'5", because I'm 6'3", and when I met Jesper, it was one of the very, very few people, I actually had to look up at him when I met him at the Den last year. So he's a very, very tall lad.
Well, welcome to mine.
Then Paul got squeezed in the middle.
Yeah, me and Jesper sort of said hello and sort of gave a little bit of a handshake hug, and all of a sudden Paul Donovan just disappeared. It's like, where'd he go? he just vanished. And as we stepped away, he sort of reappeared again. Oh, there you are, Paul.
The borrows it.
Yeah, but, bless him. Sorry, Paul.
Is there something in that Alex Neil or the club believe we need a little bit more height in the team? And a bit. Think about it. A few teams we played last year, they looked really big against us, didn't they? And you think,
especially in midfield, I noticed. Because we had Honeyman and a few other players, a little bit, slight Cundall as well. We didn't have a lot of aerial ability. I know Saville's not bad, and the physicality stuff, but you're right, we did lack that. Casper's not particularly big either, is he? So maybe that could be the thinking.
I think it could be. Look, I haven't got a clue, but I think there could be something in that Vlac rumour. I definitely think there's something in the Caleb Taylor rumour.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there. But those two. I'm not sure about that other one. I thought I sort of heard as though that was just pie in the sky. You know, the Danish guy, Jesper. I don't. It sounded like that was just a journalist playing games. But look, he could be somewhere that could turn up at Charlton, who were mentioned as well, weren't they?
Preston as well. So
Preston are doing some business. Actually, they're an interesting club. They seem to get some good players. But look, Joe, I will still say I think we will get another keeper. I still think we'll get another right back, and I think we'll get at least one midfielder. They have said they wanted two, so I think we might get two midfielders, and I think you might find maybe a striker, a centre half, sorry, depending on the Jaff situation, but even that. And then maybe, depending on Langstaff or Nisbet staying or going, we may get another striker. But then, you know, what do you do with Lovelace, who possibly isn't fit yet? So it's like, Jesus, you know, Danny's a long way from fitness. It's like October, November, he said, didn't he? So you've got.
I think September was mentioned that he would be back, but is that training? Because if he's only back training September, he won't play before maybe late October. You know, after such a serious injury.
Yeah.
Really good point.
We need a right back.
Yeah.
Like Jesper, I was going to say before, I wouldn't be surprised if we spend well in excess of 5 million. I'd love it to be 10 plus, like Jesper said. And I wouldn't be hugely surprised, which is ridiculous to say that as a Millwall fan, but I actually wouldn't be surprised. I think we've got a bit up our sleeve. I really do. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Sorry, Jester, go on, Karen.
No, just go ahead. I was just going to say about Lovelace and AJ Matthews coming in as well as two, you know, big prospects up front. Are we going to see one of them feature? Like, if I think we're gonna either sell Nisbet or Langstaff. We might even sell both, but I think one of them will feature next season, Lovelace or AJ Matthews. That leaves you with Ivanovic, Coburn, AJ or Lovelace, and then possibly Nisbet or Langstaff. So I think we might be done in the striking department, actually. Also, if we just go one up top and we play Bangura Williams behind, you know, I don't see us maybe buying more strikers, but we definitely need in central midfield. But then again, where do you go with Massey and Kelly? Kelly was also brought in as the new biggest next big thing. So I'm very, very interested to see who he will trust of these young players next season, because I think we'll see a surprise or two. I think there will be a couple of young players feature more than we might expect next year.
Yeah. So we'll talk about players breaking through. I read an article the other day. I can't remember who wrote it now. Who's the guy that writes for Southwark News? I think his name is. Was it Will?
Will Scott?
Will Scott. And I think he mentioned in the last 18 months with the signings that Mill have made, I think our average age has come down from 28 down to like 24. Something ridiculous like that, which is incredible. And a lot of these young players we're signing and letting go of the older players as well has obviously helped contribute that as well. So, again, people we do bring in, we're looking to bring young players in that can kind of hit the ground running. That's the challenge, isn't it? Is to get young players in that are good enough to play now. When you look at the likes of Massey and Kelly and a few others, you know, you could argue last season was probably a bit too soon for them. Same with Miha as well and one or two others. So, how important is it to get that right sort of balance, really, to try and attract the right players that have got sell-on potential, but we can't always get an Ivanovic, can we, or a Coburn, because obviously these guys cost a lot of money, don't they?
Is that true? Somebody said there that Negley is 6 foot. I didn't know. I know Aziz probably is. I didn't think Negley was, but wow.
No.
Is he 6 foot?
I don't think so. Rob T's one there. Rob, I met Aziz at the end of season awards and Negley, and I was pretty much towering over him. I'll say they're just under 6 foot, to be honest with you. I wouldn't say they're 6 foot plus. Definitely not, no.
Were you wearing heels or no heels, Joe?
I was wearing high heels and I had a wig on as well and a dress. So that might have added a few inches.
You might have just edged them out. Yeah, okay.
To my height. No, he definitely wasn't 6 foot though. I don't think he was, or we don't think so. But, you know, these guys are so athletic, aren't they? They tend to jump up. Where's that though, Ben DeViva? 187. Is that according to like Wikipedia or some transfer? It's not always accurate, is it? I know we like to think it is, but I don't think so. 5'10" and a half is negligible. Yeah, that's it, Rob. I think that's probably about right, to be honest with you. And a
But
half,
I think,
or
Joe,
3/4.
but Joe, going back to your point there, I think it's really important getting the balance right, because bringing in 18, 19-year-old kids, you can't expect them to go in and make a difference
To
from
play.
day one. When you bring in
You're
someone
right.
like Negley, who was 21, 22, Fleming, who was 23, 24, you can sort of expect them to have an impact. They should have some sort of experience.
Aziz was
Aziz as
23.
well. Yeah. So getting these players in is really important. But I think with the model we started last summer, it's going to take 4 or 5 windows before we probably get to a stage where we're like, okay, we've got some very, very decent young players that we can bring through in 1 or 2 years. And then besides that, we can go out and sign an additional 2 or 3 players per season. Because right now we're bringing in loads of players, and we're also shifting a loads of players, because we want to get rid of, I don't want to say deadwood because that's disrespectful to those players who left, but we want to get rid of sort of, the older players and want to bring in younger players. And it's going to take time. You can't just, throw out 20 players and bring 20 in, it takes time.
It's true.
And we're going to have to be a bit patient. But I think what we've seen so far has been very promising. And the fact that we've already been rumored selling Ivanovic for, I don't know, to Lazio, Parma, Everton, Wolverhampton is a testament that we're doing something right. And no, not every signing is going to be spot on, and there'll be players who will disappoint, who's going to leave, and we thought, okay, we thought he might be better. That's the name of the game. You win some, you lose some. I still think we're heading in a very positive direction. I think it's a very exciting time to be a Millwall supporter, and that's me comparing previous Millwall teams, in the early 2000s, 2007, 2008. Steve said, you can't remember your first game. I can remember mine. Leicester at home, 1-0 loss. We had 6,000-7,000 in the stands. It was a piss poor game, and our team was awful. And I'd never forget that. It was only because
You loved it.
I loved it. I loved the pints down the Golden Line when it was still open down. And I can't remember the road now, but yeah, what a day that was. Yeah, awesome. It was brilliant.
Awesome. Cheers, Ben DeViva. Cheers for clearing that up.
The other thing is, Jeff earlier, and he said, don't forget Mark Fairbrother's interview where he was very vocal that we are going to make some exciting signings. Do you remember his words were, I'm going to get to August and be really gutted because we haven't got who we wanted to get, or I'm going to be delighted, and I'm very confident I'll be delighted. So there's more to come. There's more to come, definitely.
Yeah. I love Kevin Allen's comment here. So I'm 5'4", fat balls, and 74. What I do? Good on you, Kevin.
Yeah, you're in, nice Kev.
One.
You're in.
You're in. You made the grade. Billy Smith, cheers, mate. So we've reaching we're at the 89th minute mark. We're almost hitting 90 minutes, so we're going to be wrapping up soon, guys. Just expressing milk is topless. Tyrese Dolan still about the club. Is he the Blackburn winger?
Yeah.
I think it's someone else. Yeah, that's a bit of a surprise. He's not that old, is he? He's only
dreadlocks.
Yeah, he's only what, 26? 24, is he? God.
I think he's
quite young.
I'd love to get him, but there's loads after him. He'll end up somewhere.
I imagine so.
He's 23.
Is he? Wow.
Yeah.
Really? Oh wow, bloody hell. So guys, I've got a few quick talking points while we're going to injury time at the moment. And guys in the chat, get involved as well. So I want to ask you, who's the player that's most likely to break through this season, in your opinion? We'll go to Disco first.
Ooh, blimey. That's a fast one. Who's going to break through this season?
Unless just when you've got someone, you might as well come in now because Disco might be a while.
Well, no, look, I won't hold you up. Look, I'd say, and you might say, well, he's there already, but he's not. For me, Negley, we haven't seen.
Really?
We've seen a small snippet.
Yeah.
But
I agree with that.
Like he came on against Borough, he looks to player to me. And, a silly thing, what I really liked what he did? When these players are on the wing and they're standing up the fullback and they run their foot over the top of the ball as they're moving it, and they run there
like the old step overs.
It's not but actually touching the ball. It's not easy.
Oh,
to keep the
it's
ball
like with the sole of their feet almost.
Yeah, rolling the ball with the undersole of their foot. He was doing that, and I thought, you'll do class. He's class, and then he scores,
Yeah.
and then gets bloody injured. But Negley for me, really looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah, very, very, very talented player. Jesper, which player do you think is going to break through this season? Last season, you could argue it was Ivanovic. A few to be fair, but who is going to break through this season for you, in your opinion? With your name one big player,
I think it's difficult. I think definitely Negley. I think Negley's going to play the majority of the games if he's fit. He's a very good. Yeah, I think we always have to say that with our players. Considering our injuries. Our injuries last season. I'm just looking at the younger players, maybe, and looking at like Kamal Grant, Messi, Kelly, and all these Matthews, Lovelace, and so on. I could see maybe AJ Matthews feature. He seems like a real goal getter as well. Bit similar to Ivanovic as well. He's quite lanky right now. He's still young.
Yeah, he's a goal scorer. He's ripping up for the under-21s, isn't he? From
he is, yeah, and he gets in the box. He finds space in the box. From what I've seen from the highlights I've seen on the under-21, so he could be one I could see, being thrown in and maybe break through is a bit over the top, and I think he'll feature. I think we'll see him play.
Well, that was my next question. My next question was to ask, which one young player do you think is going to be most excited to watch for this pre-season? But if you look at an established player, who do you think is going to be our player this season?
This is going to be
I'm going for Negley.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say Bangura Williams, but right now I'm struggling to see where he's going to play. And I'm not saying that he's not going to play because I think he's too good to be on the bench for 46 games. But if we play a 4-4-2, do you throw him in a central midfield position with Kasper or Billy? Or do you throw him on the wing, which I don't think you should? If we play with a 10, obviously, I think that's where he needs to play. Then he's going to play. But in a 4-4-2, I'm really struggling to see where his best position is. But I think, Joe, you said that when he played for the under-21s, he usually played in a central midfield position, covering also a lot of the pitch as well, and really doing the running. So I could see him having a really, really strong season next season. Really looking forward to seeing him again, because when he came on, first 5 games, he was on fire, and he was so pleasant to watch, and his technical ability as well was just, from a young kid, just so unimpressed and just coming. I thought it was brilliant, honestly. So
can you hear me? Okay, guys, is my Wi-Fi got a bit funny?
Yeah, okay, can you hear me?
I hear you fine. I wasn't sure if you. Okay. Yeah, I thought I lost you for a second there. No, I appreciate that. Okay, excellent. So next question, guys, is to you, Disco, young player. What young player do you hope to see break through next season?
That's a tricky one, because look, a lot of people are saying Matthews, and I agree with that. I'm not sure he'll get as much football as he'd like, though, and I don't see him going out on loan, to be fair. So what's going on?
Billy. Listen,
oh Jesus!
You crack me up. Listen, tell you why, Billy. I'm happy. I'm happily married man, but and look, it's not her, it's me. And tell her to look after you, Billy. Bless her.
let her down gently, Joe. Yeah, that's good.
Let her down gently for us, Billy, mate. Bless you.
So
sorry,
I think
go on, mate.
Matthews, if you like, is the not the obvious one, but a clear one. Look, Lovelace, good shout, Tony. I'm worried he's not fit yet, which is a worry because he came unfit. But probably Kelly. He was mentioned earlier. Kelly. Look, we pushed the boat out to buy him and get him in, and he looks like a real bloody young kid, doesn't he? But
Kelly reminds me of a bit of a young Saville. When you think about it, he's young, he's quite tenacious. I'm talking about Saville back in his younger days.
Yes.
He's getting kind of box to box and quite aggressive. I'm hoping that's the sort of player he'll be. It'd be quite nice to see him feature in some way. So we talked about who's going to break through, young player. Disco, stay with yourself. What's the one thing Mill must improve on from last season before the campaign kicks off, in your opinion?
The look, it's a bit shit, but the injuries, we cannot sustain that level of injuries again, in my mind, to key players.
This goes, sorry to interrupt you there, but I guess it's hard to prevent injuries. But I guess what you're saying is we probably need a big enough squad, a good enough squad, to almost overcome those injuries. Would you say?
That's really, Joe, look, really well said, because I'd be foolish to think we ain't going to get any injuries. I do think it was extreme last year. But that's a really good point. Is look, you're going to get injuries, so have we got a strong enough squad to cope with that? That's a really, really good point. So
I agree.
My view,
Cheers, Disco. Same to you, Jesper. Same question. Anything you feel we need to improve on this season from last season, where you felt that we probably didn't quite get that right?
Goals.
Yeah,
ever since we came back up to the championship, we haven't scored more than 57 in the season. If we are really serious about getting into the top 6, we need to get above 60. Last season we scored 47. I think the season before that was the same. So it's clearly a department we need to look at. And I think Alex Neil is aware of that. So more goals.
I agree, and I think Rob T agrees with you there as well.
Yeah.
He shouts out goals, and Dave Rose has agreed. Goals from midfield. Is that a change of, I guess, style or formation? Do you think, guys, that will give us more goals? In your opinion, what we can't just say we want more goals.
No, I think
how does it happen? Is that a playing style or?
Yeah, it is. It is about us being more positive. It's about us not sitting back when we're up 1-0. I think when we were when we had Rowett, and again, no disrespect to him, because he did really well when he came in. But always when we went up 1.
Sorry, Jess, but also set pieces. Again, a lot of guys are saying set pieces as well, which is another point of improvement. Carry on, mate.
It's in every department. It's from our wingers. It's from our central midfielders. It's from our strikers.
Yeah.
It's in every department where we need to add. But we have, because we've had a certain Millwall DNA for so long, it also takes a bit of time to readjust that and be more positive. So when we go up 1-0, we had a habit of sitting back and just inviting teams in, sitting back, holding on to the lead, and it would work maybe 60, 70, 75% of the time under Rowett, because we were so good at it. But we had no outlet. We never had any outlet. We just kicked the ball up, and then we went, okay, try and break us down again. And now we need to be more positive and kill games off, and also attack the teams the other way. And I think that's
funny you mentioned that.
Yeah.
So I remember when Alex Neil took over, and I think we were still kind of very much, even under Harris, like hitting these long balls up the wings and stuff. And a lot of us just going to defenders were kind of giving the ball away quite often. And I think Alex Neil picked up on that very, very soon. And he talked about, if we're going to go long, let's not go long over the heads. Let's play into feet. And he started using Ivanovic a lot better and playing his balls through to him, to his feet, and just small little tweaks, weren't it? That kind of helped our game and kind of link up our play better.
Yeah, and I think that's where Coburn comes in, as part of that puzzle, because when you do go long, you can still, as a central defender, you can still chip it over the midfield and then aim for someone. You don't have to just aimlessly kick it up towards the opposition. And I think that's what Coburn has to play a big part next season.
I agree. And I think under Harris, a lot of that system was winning the second ball, wasn't it? How many times we had Bradshaw up front, and we couldn't understand why the hell is he playing Bradshaw? Why are we hitting long balls up to Bradshaw when he'll probably get 1 out of 99 out of 100 headers? But what was happening is he would battle for the ball. He wouldn't win the ball would drop, and then hopefully our midfielders would pick up that ball. I think that was kind of a tactic, but it was very horrible to see, wasn't it? It's like winning the second balls all the time. Whereas I think, when Alex Neil came, he changed that, didn't he? Just made sure that ball stuck up there and it was played to feet a bit more, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was just funny when me and Chris did the season review that we actually saw more long balls under Alex Neil than we did under Neil Harris. But I just think that,
but the right way, wasn't it? It was the right way.
Yeah, because the eye test that I remember, that's not how I saw it. We played maybe a bit more direct, but we played with a purpose when we played direct.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was just just get it and just lump it forward, see what happens, and then we chase it down in the corners. And you can't keep playing like that if you want to be serious about also developing as a team in this league. So that needs to change.
It's true. Alex says here. Good point. He said, "I'll be interested to know how our XG was compared to actual goals scored. We had very high XG earlier in the season. If you remember that with Harris."
Yeah.
Sorry, Disco.
Talking about set pieces, did you see the show reel of Jake Cooper this week?
Yes.
And Jesus, some of the goals he scored, and you just think, then this last year or two, he's been smothered, hasn't he, by defences, but look, and much as that is good defending, I do think that's been a lack of quality set pieces from us, and including his movement, just having him stood there rather than coming in. Very difficult to stop, without a doubt. So,
we missed. I just laugh at Big
comment earlier. Yeah, Big E said earlier as well, he was tuning into Three Men and a Baby when we were talking.
Yeah, I saw that. I know. Big E said so. We had 1,000. That was our first achievement. That was the first milestone, wasn't it? Do you remember that? We hit 1,000.
Yes.
Now we hit 2,000. So at 3,000 subs, Big E said we should have a chat with chaps round table with Joe and the players' dads, the War Army. I tell you what, I would love to do that. And I've spoken to a few of the players' dads, and there's a couple on them that wouldn't mind it, and they're probably watching now. I don't want to embarrass them or say their names, but that their sons, who are obviously the players, don't particularly want to see their dads on here. So unless they could convince their sons to allow them to come on with me, I would love to get a few of them on, because it'd be great to have them on a round table and have a chat with them. So Big E, I'm working on it, but we've got to get their sons to agree to it. If they get the permission, I'm sure they would love to jump on with us. And again, dads, if you're on this, watching this, you know who you are. We've had the chat, haven't we, in the past? So let's make it happen before the season starts. So again, next question I want to ask, guys. Sorry, did I mention to yourself, at least the pitchers don't have to worry about Savills taking the free kicks? I know. It was terrible, wasn't it? Honeyman's were much better, weren't they?
What was the game when he put everything on a sixpence, Saville?
There wasn't one game.
Norwich.
He was superb, wasn't he? So it shows he could do it,
He can do it, yeah. Maybe it's a week.
There's another name keeps coming up. Kramer. What a player he is. I can't wait to see him this year. Hopefully at centre half. Although, look. Nobody's mentioned Jaff, have they? Jaff's still here.
Well, there's a good chance that he might be here next season from the rooms I'm hearing. Andrew Roberts, if he reached 3,000 subs, then Joe has to have Billy's wife on the next podcast. After that runs a king. Billy, if you're still here, mate, talk to the missus, and we'll definitely get her here on the live chat. She probably won't have a clue what we're talking about, but we need
when
to.
When he says you have to have her, though, Joe, what does he mean by you have to have her?
As in on the podcast.
Oh,
Just,
right.
Come on.
Right. Oh, sorry. Right. Oh, okay.
There you go. Billy's dad will be up for it. There you go, Gaz. You sort it, and we'll get him on. Definitely. They're a good bunch. Guys, panel predictions. You guys, Disco and Jesper. Again, guys in the group chat. Could you also give me your prediction of where Millwall will finish next season? So we'll start with you guys first. Jesper, do you want to go first this time?
Well, I assume I do a prediction now, and then we do one at the end of August when we know what players we have in the building. But I don't know. I'm feeling really confident these days, and I think we're going to finish 6th.
Yes, 6.
Yeah.
I'll go for 6. I think we're going to stick into the playoffs. Sorry, Biggie. That's Bonnie Blue, isn't it? I think you're thinking of. I don't know how I know her, but it just comes to me. 6 spot for Jesper. Disco, how about yourself? Jesper's going for 6.
I'm normally very conservative, but before I know who we're going to bring in, and I'm confident we're going to bring some in, sod it, I'm going to go no pain for 4th.
4th.
Ooh.
Wow. Same as Rob Timm. We've got a 4, we've got a 5, we've got a 6, we've got a 3. Can you imagine 90 minutes of just Billy's wife flashing her eyelids? That Joe. Oh, bless. 5th from Mark. Yeah, so I'm going to go. I'm going to go for 6. I'm going to go for 6. I think 6 is quite a common one. Andrew, not so convinced. He says 8th. Ben DeViva says, depending on signing, 6. Jeff Cook's going for 5th. Connor's going for 6. If Football Lad says if we keep Tango and Ivanovic, we will finish 4th. Yeah, I can't see why we couldn't do that. If we get a good run together. If Ivanovic stays top 6. Ian's gone for great start and 2nd for Ian. Very bold.
Go on, Ian.
Chris Brown's going for 7th. Miss out on goal difference. Come on, Chris. Come on. You could be a bit more optimistic than that, mate. Come on. Michael's 2nd.
Whoa.
You can tell Chris has been supporting Mill a very long time, can't you?
Yes.
Realistic.
Carl Bracey's going for 6. Kevin Allen's going for 3rd. Right?
Okay.
Big E's going for 4. I like the positivity here. I think it'll be more open season this year. I agree, David. I think so. Tony Butcher's going for 9th. Bloody hell, eh?
Tony.
Chat answers. 7th, Heartbreak. James says, I'm going for 5th or 6th. Okay.
Good luck, James.
So many predictions. Wow, I know there's loads of predictions. Absolutely. Need automatic promotion, and then we'll be fairly allowed to play off 2nd. Right? Yeah, I agree. But you know what? I don't know why. I feel if we get into the playoffs, I think we'll win it. No matter who's in it, I think I can see us winning it. 7th. Yes. Top of the league. We're having a laugh. Okay, so that pretty much wraps things up. Last, I want to mention just your last words, guys, on Ivanovic. We start off about Ivanovic. We go to you first this time. Just want to end it off on the old Ivanovic debacle at the moment. What's your final thoughts on that?
I'm not sure it's a debacle, Joe. Look, it's rumours, isn't it? And that you get that with a bloody good player. I think, sum it up, the best is yet to come, and I really hope that's in a Millwall shirt, and I do think it will be for at least the half a season, but I'd like to think the full season. So, that's my 4th place prediction. So, I think we'll keep him for now.
Nice one. Cheers. Coming to you next, Jesper. Before we do that, Dave Turner, thank you so much for the reminder again. Guys, please like the show. If you haven't liked it, just give a little bit of like on YouTube or Twitter. You could also do us a favour, and after the show finishes, just put a little comment on the old YouTube comments, because even those make a big difference for the algorithms. It just helps spread the podcast out a little bit further out. So if you don't mind doing that, even just say, look, something funny we talked about on the show, a little one-liner that only us and the Chat with Chats family, you listeners on there, will know what we're talking about. It might make no sense to anyone else who read the comments unless you watch the show. So put a little comment on there as well, and do us a favour and help with the algorithms. Jesper, coming to yourself, final thoughts on Ivanovic?
Well, I echo what Steve said, and if Ivanovic is listening or watching, and his partner in crime, that Milosevic guy, is also watching, I'm like, please stay. Please enjoy London for another year. Please take us to the promised land. Please enjoy some more pie and mash, and let's have another transfer debacle next summer instead of
exactly.
Now. I don't think the time is right. So looking forward to a very strong season for him.
Brilliant. Okay, guys, look, I think that's it now. We've wrapped things up. Thank you to Disco Steve for giving up your time again this week. Really appreciate you coming on. As always, Jesper, thank you so much. Whilst you're on 3 months paternity leave, I've got a feeling we'll see a lot of Jesper in the next few months, Jesper. And of course, thank you so much to our Chat with Chaps family, you listeners, because again, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be doing this every week. So thank you so much for being with us this evening. We'll be back again next week at 7 p.m. next Tuesday, as always. Lots to sort of talk about as we often do. And again, just please like the show. Make sure you subscribe. We've got over 2,000 subscribers now, which is absolutely brilliant. I've got a text of Chris as well. He's over the moon with that. So thank you so much on behalf of Chris and behalf of all the gang of Chat with Chaps. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. We laugh at that, Jesper.
No, this is Mark Murphy.
Oh, is it?
Always a mess.
Listen, it's really cool that he's here. Love it. Guys, thank you
Brilliant.
so much. And until next week, have a good end to the week. Enjoy your weekends.
Hang on, Joe.
See you.
What Alex says, aren't we playing next Tuesday? But I think we're playing during the day, aren't we? If we are playing in Spain, we will be in Spain next
The
week.
Tuesday one is 10:30 in the morning their time. So is that 9:30 our time? I think.
Yeah.
They're 1 hour ahead, aren't they? I think yeah. So cheers for bringing that up, Alex. Appreciate it. But I think we should be good for that anyway. But listen, thank you so much. Again, seeing all the comments in very, very quickly. I'm going to put up on the screen just to kind of show these very quickly. I know we're running deep into injury time, but I want to get your comments up. So again, thank you so much. Just with Disco and Joe. Thank you, Ben Deliva. Thank you, guys. Cheers, Alex. Thanks, David. Cheers, Kevin. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, guys. Cheers, Leslie. Thanks, Jeff. Cheers, Ian. Oh, God. Look, thank you so much. Very, very appreciate you guys being with us. Thank you for lovely comments. Thank you very, very much. This is why we do it. We do this for you guys without sounding cheesy, but that is the truth, So, look, thank you very, very much. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now, guys.
Hi, it's Steve Morrison here, and you're listening to Chat with Chaps, chatting Millwall, come rain or shine.